Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, let me speak to your mind today, but also to your spirit, because we are not just talking about dollars and cents. We are talking about destiny and direction. There is a war not of class, but of consciousness. It is not about the money in your bank, but the belief in your brain. The rich and the poor may walk the same streets, but their minds live in different zip codes. You see, the poor mindset says, I can't afford it, while the rich mindset asks, how can I afford it? One shuts the door, the other opens the window. One sees obstacles, the other sees opportunity. One is trapped in fear, the other is driven by vision. This isn't about judgment, it's about awakening, about snapping out of generational slumber and into. You've got to reprogram your spirit, because some of you are carrying inherited poverty, not of finances, but of faith. You've been told, play it safe, don't risk, don't dream, but that lie is costing you more than failure ever could. Kiyosaki didn't just write a book, he launched a battle cry. He said, wealth isn't what you hold in your hands, it's what you carry in your head. You've got to invest in what lasts, in what grows, in what multiplies. Stop working for money and start learning how to make money work for you. Don't fear assets, fear ignorance. Don't despise the seed, sow it. Don't wait for permission to succeed. Position yourself to succeed. Let me tell you something. If you can renew your mind, you can redirect your life. If you change the way you think, you'll change the way you live. The poor mindset waits. The rich mindset works. The poor mindset fears risk. So today, wake up, rise up, and wise up, because the chains are not on your hands, they're in your head. And the moment you break free from that, your whole life changes. Mindset, not money, divides the rich and the poor. You can put two people in the same room, give them the same opportunity, the same information, even the same paycheck, but their results will be worlds apart. Why? Because their mindsets are different. One is trained to think growth, the other is conditioned to survive. One sees problems as stepping stones, the other sees them as stop signs. It's not about the bank account, it's about the belief system. The rich mindset says, what can I learn from this? While the poor mindset says, why does this always happen to me? The rich mindset studies the rules of the game. The poor mindset just tries to play without knowing them. And here's the truth. It is okay to feel fear. It's okay to have doubt. You don't have to be perfect to begin building a different future. What matters is that you begin. Perfection is a myth that keeps people paralyzed. But movement, even small steps, creates momentum. And momentum creates breakthrough. Don't think the rich mindset is without struggle. Don't assume they never feel fear. No, they just don't bow to it. They don't let fear decide the budget, the goal, or the dream. And hear me when I say this, vulnerability is not a sign of weakness. It's a demonstration of courage. Being honest about your limitations doesn't make you small, it makes you real. And in that realness, you create space for growth. Many people think poverty is just about lack of money. But real poverty is when your mind is locked in limitation and you can't see your way out. Real poverty is the mindset that tells you your value is based on your paycheck, your background, or your education. But you are not your circumstance, you are not your struggle, you are not your lack. You are the architect of your perspective, and perspective is power. Shift that and you shift everything. The rich mindset invests in learning, adapts in failure, and finds meaning in challenge. The poor mindset avoids discomfort, fears risk, and waits for life to be safe, but life will never be safe. Faith makes it worthwhile. Demarcation shapes destiny. The words you speak are not just sounds, they are seeds. Seeds that either grow gardens of greatness or thorns of limitation. When you say, I can't, when you say, that's not for people like me, you've built a wall around your own potential. But when you say, I'll find a way, you've cracked the sky open with possibility. You see, what comes out of your mouth often reveals what's been dwelling in your mind. If you speak defeat constantly, it's because defeat has made a home in your thinking. But when you begin to speak with intention, with vision, with purpose, your life begins to shift. You don't have to have all the answers yet, but if your language starts to reflect hope, then your future starts to reflect it too. Your words become the blueprint of your actions. Your actions build the structure of your habits, and your habits construct the framework of your destiny. Some people speak as if the world is against them, as if every opportunity is a trap, every challenge is a curse. But others speak like life is for them. Like the wind may be strong, but their sails are stronger. And that speech, that belief opens doors. No degree, no connection, no dollar can. Your vocabulary reveals your vision. If all you talk about is what you lost, what you can't do, what didn't happen, you are living in the rear view mirror. But if you begin to declare what is possible, even before it's visible, your life will start to catch up with your confession. This is not magic, it's alignment, because your mouth moves your feet and your feet move your future. If you want to change your life, start by changing your language. Stop rehearsing defeat. Stop normalizing lack. Stop prophesying your own stagnation. Speak as if what you're building already exists. Speak as if heaven hears you and hell fears you. Speak faith. Speak strategy. Speak growth. Speak freedom. Because every time you open your mouth, you are either creating or destroying. Language shapes destiny. Vision over fear, that is the path that separates those who build legacies from those who merely survive. Fear is loud. It will scream in your ear. It will paint worst-case scenarios in your imagination, and it will disguise itself as wisdom. But vision, true vision, is quiet confidence. It doesn't shout, but it shifts the atmosphere. Vision doesn't need all the details to take the first step. It just needs enough light to move forward. Fear says, stay where it's safe. Vision says, go where you're called. Fear focuses on what could go wrong. Vision focuses on what could go right. And when you live by fear, your decisions become small. Your dreams become watered down, and your energy is drained by hesitation. But when you live by vision, even your failures feed your fire. Even the detours become part of the design. Let me be real with you. Fear will never disappear. It will always be standing at the door knocking, but you don't have to let it in. You don't have to give it a seat at your table. You can acknowledge its presence without granting it power. Because vision isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to rise anyway. People without vision often become prisoners of fear. They stay in jobs they hate, relationships that drain them, and environments that shrink them, not because they're weak, but because they can't see past the storm. But vision gives you a glimpse of what's next. And when you catch that glimpse, it gives you strength to endure the now. Don't wait for fear to leave. It probably won't. Just make sure it never drives. Let vision steer your decisions. Let vision shape your prayers. Let vision lead your conversations. Because fear is reactive, but vision is proactive. Fear waits for something to go wrong. Vision prepares for something to go right. So ask yourself, are you building your life based on what you're afraid of or what you believe in? Fear builds cages. Vision builds bridges. Choose the blueprint that leads to freedom. Choose vision over fear. Faith must replace generational fear, because what you inherited doesn't have to be what you repeat. Just because your father feared risk, just because your mother feared change, just because your community feared stepping beyond the familiar, doesn't mean you have to carry that fear forward. You may have been born into fear, but you were called into faith. There comes a moment when you must draw a line in the sand and say, it stops with me. The fear that controlled them will not control me. The fear that silenced their dreams will not silence mine. Generational fear often wears the mask of protection. Don't try that. Stay in your lane. Be realistic. But let me tell you, what they called protection was often just projection. They weren't trying to hurt you. They were just trying to keep you safe from what scared them. But faith speaks a different language. Faith doesn't ignore the fear, it overrides it. Faith looks at the same mountain, the same lack, the same unknown, and moves forward anyway. Faith says, even if I don't have all the answers, I believe there's something better than this. Faith breaks the cycle of small thinking and opens the door to new patterns of possibility. You see, generational fear is passed down through words, through habits, through silence. It's in the lessons unspoken, the dreams deferred, the talents unused, but so is the power to break it. You may be the first in your family to think like this, to believe like this, to invest like this, to walk by faith and not by fear. And that doesn't make you strange. It makes you necessary. Don't let fear disguised as tradition hold you back. Don't confuse generational loyalty with spiritual limitation. You honor your family not by shrinking, but by rising, not by repeating their fears, but by fulfilling what they only dreamed of. Faith is not the absence of history. It's the power to rewrite it. Faith is the boldness to say, I will not pass this fear down to my children. I will pass down belief, boldness, and vision. Faith must replace generational fear, because your legacy deserves more than your lineage's limitations. Wealth is mental first, physical second. Before it ever shows up in your bank account, it has to take root in your belief system. You cannot attract what your mind rejects. If you see yourself as broke, unworthy, or incapable, then no amount of opportunity can stick. It will slip through your hands like water, not because it wasn't real, but because your mindset wasn't ready to receive it. This is why you can give two people the same financial blessing. One will multiply it, the other will mismanage it. Why? Because the outer world always follows the inner world. Prosperity doesn't begin with money. It begins with mentality. It starts with how you think about value, time, risk, growth, and most of all, yourself. If your mind is still wired for scarcity, you'll see every opportunity as a threat and every challenge as a curse. But if your mind is tuned to abundance, you'll find possibility in places other people overlook. Wealthy thinking asks, how can I grow this? Poor thinking says, how can I hold on to it? One thinks like a steward, the other like a survivor. But wealth isn't kept by gripping, it's grown by planting. You have to train your thoughts to align with where you want to go, not just where you've been. That means unlearning the lies lies that told you money is evil, that wanting more is greedy, that success is reserved for other people. No, wealth starts in the renewing of the mind. The mind that says, I am capable, I am worthy, I am responsible, I am growing. The mind that understands wealth is not just about having, it's about managing, multiplying, and making impact. And let me say this, poverty is not just a lack of money, it is often a lack of vision, structure, and belief. That's why mindset must shift before income ever can. You don't become rich by accident. You become rich by intention, by changing your thoughts, your habits, your language, your decisions. So, before you ask for more, make sure your mind is ready to hold more, because if you think poor, you will stay poor even when money comes. But if you think wealthy, you will rise even when resources are low. Wealth is mental first, physical second. Money should serve you, not enslave you. It was never meant to be your master, it was meant to be your tool, a resource. A servant to vision, not a dictator of work. But too many have reversed the order. They worship what they should be managing. They chase what they should be commanding. And in doing so, they become prisoners to what was meant to set them free. When money becomes your master, your decisions become reactive. You take jobs you hate, you stay in environments that drain you, you compromise values just to feel secure. But that's not abundance. That's bondage in disguise. True wealth is not about how much you earn, but how much control you have over your time, your choices, and your peace of mind. Money should not be the reason you sleep with anxiety or wake with dread. It should not be the voice that silences your purpose. Yes, money is important. Yes, it's powerful, but it's not divine. And when you treat it like a god, it will demand sacrifices. Your joy, your health, your relationships. But when you treat it like a tool, it becomes a blessing. A rich mindset doesn't ask, how can I chase money? It asks, how can money flow through what I build? It creates systems. It creates value. It builds assets that produce income even when you're not present. Because the goal is not just to make money, it's to be free. Free to walk in purpose. Free to invest in vision. Free to say no when the price is wrong and yes when the opportunity aligns. Don't let money manipulate your self-worth. Don't let it define your identity. Don't let it become the scale by which you measure your success. Let it be a servant to the dream, not the dream itself. If you are constantly worried about losing money, constantly chasing it, constantly afraid there won't be enough, you're not free. But when you understand that you are the asset, that your mind, your vision, your gifts are the true source, money begins to serve you. It follows clarity. It flows toward discipline. It responds to stewardship. Money should serve you, not enslave you, because you were created to lead, not be led by paper and numbers. Assets over appearances, that's the mindset that builds legacy while others chase likes. In a world that celebrates what shines on the surface, too many are bankrupt beneath. Flashy clothes, luxury cars, high-end gadgets. These things scream success, but often whisper insecurity, because when the focus is on looking rich instead of becoming rich, you're playing a losing game. Appearances might impress people, but assets empower you. Appearances demand maintenance, assets generate momentum. One empties your pocket for validation, the other fills it with value. And here's the truth, most of what people flaunt, they don't even own. Bought on credit, driven by pressure, fueled by fear of being seen as less than. But when you live for applause, you rent your peace. When you live for purpose, you invest your future. Assets don't need to be seen to be working. They don't sparkle on your wrist, but they grow in your account. They don't always come with brand names, but they come with generational impact. A rental property doesn't turn heads like designer shoes, but it pays you while you sleep. A stock portfolio might not get you compliments, but it gets you compound interest. A business doesn't fit in a shopping bag, but it creates income far beyond a paycheck. The rich mindset understands this. It delays gratification. It resists the urge to prove success and instead commits to building it quietly. Because real wealth doesn't need validation, it speaks through freedom. The ability to choose your schedule, the power to walk away, the joy of blessing others without struggling yourself. Don't get caught trying to impress people who aren't invested in your destiny. Don't go broke trying to look like you're already there. There's nothing wrong with nice things, but let them be the fruit, not the goal. Let them be a reflection of what you've built, not a replacement for what you're still lacking. Invest in what grows. Invest in what pays you back. Invest in what doesn't fade with fashion or crumble with time. Because at the end of the day, appearances fade, but assets remain. Assets over appearances. Always break the cycle of waiting. Waiting for the perfect moment. Waiting for the right amount of money. Waiting for approval, for permission, for someone to come along and hand you the life you've been dreaming of. But let me tell you, the longer you wait, the louder fear becomes. And the longer you wait, the more you teach yourself that your future belongs to someone else's decision, not your own. There is no perfect time. There is no magical green light that says, now it's safe. Because purpose doesn't wait for comfort. Destiny doesn't wait for convenience. What you're called to do may never feel easy, but it will always feel necessary. And if you keep waiting for all the conditions to line up, you'll miss the window that faith has already opened. The poor mindset says, let's wait until it's all figured out. The rich mindset says, let's start with what we have and figure it out along the way. Because movement creates clarity. Action reveals ability. The longer you stay in pause, the more rust gathers on your gifts. You weren't meant to sit still. You were made to build, to create, to risk, to grow. Sometimes people don't realize they're stuck in a cycle of waiting because it looks like preparation. But there's a difference between preparing and procrastinating. Real preparation moves you forward. Fearful waiting keeps you stuck. And deep down, you know which one. You don't need the whole staircase, just take the first step. You don't need everyone to agree, just believe enough to move. You don't need more time, you need more decisions. Decisions to act, decisions to shift, decisions to trust that what's in you is bigger than the excuses around you. Break the cycle. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to be validated. Stop waiting for conditions to be perfect. Because while you're waiting, someone else is working. While you're hesitating, someone else is harvesting. The future does not belong to the most talented. It belongs to the most active. So break the cycle of waiting. Step out, step up, and watch what happens when faith meets motion. Risk is a tool, not a threat. But too many people have been trained to fear it instead of leverage it. They've been taught that risk equals danger, that stepping out means losing what little they have. So they hold back, they hesitate, they settle. But what they don't realize is avoiding risk is the greatest risk of all. Because while you're trying to protect your comfort, you're sacrificing your calling. Nothing significant is built without risk. No business, no wealth, no legacy, no breakthrough has ever come without someone daring to take a step that wasn't guaranteed. Risk is how you cross the line from potential to purpose. It is how you go from idea to income, from dreaming to doing. It's not reckless, it's required. Rich thinking understands this. It doesn't see risk as something to avoid, it sees it as something to manage. You don't take blind leaps, you take informed ones. You study, you prepare, you pray, and then you move, because fear will keep waiting for a promise of safety. But faith moves on the strength of vision. The poor mindset is paralyzed by risk. It says, what if I lose? The rich mindset says, what if I learn? The poor mindset focuses on what could go wrong. The rich mindset looks at what could go right, because on the other side of risk is experience. On the other side of risk is growth. On the other side of risk is everything you said you wanted: freedom, ownership, control, legacy. Risk is not your enemy, it's your edge. It's the tension that stretches you into new levels. It's the pressure that refines your decision making. It's the test that teaches you who you are and what you're capable of. Without it, you play life safe and small, always wondering what could have happened if you had dared to try. So don't run from risk. Don't wait for life to be predictable before you make a move. Learn to wield it, use it, master it, because risk is not the threat, it's the tool. And those who know how to use it are the ones who rise, the ones who lead, the ones who leave footprints on the ground they once feared to walk. Transformation begins with thought, not with money, not with opportunity, not with connections, with thought. Every shift in your life starts first in your mind. If your thinking doesn't change, your life never will. Because you can change your address, change your job, even change your circle. But if you don't change the way you think, you'll keep getting the same results in different places. Thought is the seed. Your actions are just the harvest. That's why a rich man with a poor mindset will eventually lose it, and a broke man with a wealthy mindset will eventually build it. Because success is sustained by mental structure, not just external gain. It's not what's in your hand that defines you, it's what's in your head. The quality of your thoughts determines the direction of your decisions. The battlefield is not outside, it's internal. That's why transformation requires more than motivation. You don't just need hype, you need renewal. You've got to confront the lies you believed. The ones that said you're not enough, that you'll always struggle, that wealth is not for people like you. Those thoughts are not facts, they are limits, and limits only have power when you agree with them. If you want to change your life, challenge your default thinking, the self-sabotaging patterns, the scarcity mentality, the fear-based assumptions. Because those thoughts are not just ideas, they are prisons. And freedom comes when you realize you have the key. You can think differently. You can choose to elevate your perspective. You can reframe your setbacks, rewire your responses, and reimagine what's possible. You don't need a miracle to start, you need a decision. A decision to think higher, to think like an owner, to think like a builder. Because once the mind shifts, everything else has no choice but to follow. Habits change, speech changes, relationships change, environments change. But it all begins where no one can see. Deep in the thoughts you allow and the beliefs you embrace. Transformation doesn't wait on circumstances. It begins with a thought. A thought strong enough to challenge fear. A thought big enough to make room for growth. A thought bold enough to spark a new future. So now the question is, what will you choose to believe from this day forward? Will you keep circling the same patterns, stuck in the same cycles, led by fear, shaped by lack, and ruled by appearances? Or will you shift your mindset, break free from inherited limitations, and step boldly into the life you were created to build? This isn't just about money, it's about mindset, about taking authority over your thoughts, your habits, your decisions, about deciding that wealth begins in the mirror, not in the market. That transformation is possible, not someday, but now. That risk is a tool, not a threat. That your faith is greater than your fear. That assets matter more than applause. And most of all, that the life you desire is already waiting on the other side of the mindset you refuse to release. Don't wait. Don't shrink. Don't settle. This is your moment to rise, not because everything is perfect, but because you have changed. Because the thoughts that once held you back no longer have the final say. Change the way you think and you'll change the way you live. Let this be the day you stop waiting and start building.